British Columbia Institute of Technology acknowledges that our campuses are located on the unceded traditional territories of the Coast Salish nations of Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh.
From the Broadcast Center at BCIT's Burnaby Campus, this is All Talk Radio. You're listening to 1680 The Crow.
Hello and good afternoon. I'm Yulaswanova and back for your 2 p.m. news update. The BC government has appointed a special mediator in the labor dispute involving Metro Vancouver Transit supervisors for buses. Labor Minister Harry Bain says veteran mediator Vice Reddy has been appointed to work for up to 6 days starting tomorrow on the dispute between Coast Mountain Bus Company and QP 4500. Bain says Reddy will issue a non-binding set of recommendations on February 2nd if a deal cannot be reached. Coastal Mountain and the union will then have 5 days to accept or reject the recommendations. The Northwest Territory Coroner's Office says 6 people have died in a plane crash near the town of Fort Smith on the boundary with Alberta. The office says 4 passengers and 2 crew members from Northwestern Airlines were killed, while a lone survivor was taken to a hospital and later airlifted to Yellowknife. The plane took off Tuesday from the airport in Fort Smith, then crashed near the banks of the Slave River. The Lower Mainland's integrated homicide team is on scene near Vancouver Metrotown early Wednesday morning after a fatal shooting in the area. Officers found a man with serious gunshot injuries and the victim died at the scene soon after. Police say officers responded to reports of a shooting in the 5500 block of Kingsway in Burnaby on Tuesday at 10:30 p.m. Burnaby RCMP says the scene has been secured and they don't believe there is any further risk to the public. Investigators are seeking witnesses and dashcam videos of the area around Kingsway of Denver Avenue around the time of the shooting. Restaurants are big business in BC, but an industry group is sounding an alarm. Our reporter Mashman has the story on it.
Restaurants around Metro Vancouver are struggling, according to the British Columbia Restaurant and Food Service Association, or BCRFA. The industry group is launching the Save BC Restaurants campaign in an effort to raise public awareness of the difficulty that the food and service and hospitality sectors are facing in the wake of COVID and rising labor costs. The BCRFA shared that bankruptcies had increased 48% in the last 10 months on a Facebook post Tuesday night. This posted alongside numbers showing that 80% of their members took on additional debt during the pandemic. They have also communicated that 50% of BC restaurants are unprofitable. Alongside the campaign, they are also launching an unhappy hour menu, which acts as a list of statistics and broader grievances. Outside of the campaign, the BCRFA has not publicly announced any other plans to raise awareness or legislative goals. Max Mashman, BCIT, The Crow.
The Bank of Canada is set to make its first interest rate announcement of the year this morning. Canadian press reporter Najat Mali has more on this.
Economists widely expect the central bank will continue holding its key interest rate steady at 5%, but all eyes will be on Governor Tiff Macklem today for any hints on when the central bank plans to pivot to rate cuts. The Bank of Canada has held its key interest rate steady at its last 3 announcements as economic data suggests monetary policy is slowing inflation. However, Canada's inflation rate ticked back up in December to 3.4%, complicating the central bank's path. But forecasters still expect economic weakness will allow the Bank of Canada to begin cutting interest rates as early as this spring. Najat Mali, Canadian Press, Ottawa.
The Parkland refinery in Burnaby raised concerns among residents as a strong odor swept across neighborhoods in Burnaby and in Vancouver. One of the biggest concerns from locals has been whether the odor from the refinery is harmful to be around it. Our reporter Nicholas Poitras talks to one of the local who had so much discomfort he sent himself to the hospital.
Hundreds of Parkland neighborhood residents were woken up to a foul stench, with neighbors describing it as a toxic burning smell. Reports from Metro Vancouver and the Burnaby Fire Department both shared that the odor released would only cause problems to those with underlying health problems, such as heart or lung diseases. However, Chris Tubbs, a Parkland community resident, says that after walking his dog in the morning, he took himself to the hospital.
Right away I was feeling it in my lungs. And Foxy, she had her ears down and she was wanting to go home, which is not normal for her.
Tubbs says that after getting checked in at Burnaby General Hospital, the chest pain slowly went away. There's been no official reports of other residents going to the hospital due to the odor. Nicholas Poitras for BCIT's The Crow.
A new survey suggests 7 out of 10 Canadians worry they won't be able to get good quality medical care if they or their family members need it. Canadian press reporter Laura Osman has more on this.
The poll by Leger comes nearly a year after the federal government signed a new health accord with provinces to address the severe shortage of healthcare workers. Provinces are now starting to sign one-on-one deals with the federal government for the money, but only 17% of people surveyed said they felt the state of healthcare is likely to improve in the next 2 years. People in Alberta and BC were more likely to say their healthcare systems were good, while people in Atlantic Canada and Quebec were more likely to rate them as poor. Laura Osman, The Canadian Press, Ottawa.
The federal government has decided to put a cap on the number of the international students allowed in Canada. Our reporter Kevin Pontius investigates why this is.
According to Stats Canada, over the past 10 years, the number of international students in the country has tripled. This has caused the federal government to take action, putting restrictions in place to allow 35% less international students. One of the big questions is, where are all these students studying when we consider there hasn't been a massive uptick in some of the bigger universities? Professor Nicholas Schmidt spoke about his experience at Simon Fraser University.
Take SFU, right? The number of international students has not increased over the last 2 years and has probably decreased since the pandemic.
The federal government has asked provincial regulators to look into many private colleges to determine the legitimacy of their programs. Kevin Pontius, BCIT, The Crow.
And this is our news update for 2 p.m. We will return shortly with sports news.
This is sports on 1680 The Crow.
Welcome back to BCIT The Crow. Into sporting news. Elementary school students packed an arena in Coquitlam on Wednesday thanks to the efforts of a local hockey team. BCIT reporter Jagraj Lali has more details on the exciting initiatives.
Young children danced and sang Wednesday afternoon as the BCHL's Coquitlam Express hosted their annual school day game with more than 2,000 students in attendance. The team's general manager, Tally Campbell, highlighted what the kids will take away from the day.
They could all come together for the simple purpose of cheering on a hockey team, right? Whether cheering for hopefully Coquitlam Express or maybe the Chilliwack Chiefs, right? Everyone's coming here together to celebrate community, celebrate these young athletes who are trying to achieve their dreams of making Division I scholarships to National Hockey League.
This was the second edition of the annual event post-COVID, but Campbell hopes this will now be a long-standing tradition for years to come. Jagraj Lali, BCIT, The Crow.
Well, Jagraj is in Coquitlam Arena right now, and we want to hear something about what is going on in there right now. Jag? Hey, Jag. We are having some difficulties with the...
You're on.
Hey, Jag, can you hear me?
I don't think so.
Say go. Okay, move on.
Just.
Well, we had some difficulties, but so let's move on. 5 players from Canada's 2018 World Junior Hockey team have taken a leave of absence from their current clubs in recent years. As the reporter says, 5 members of the team have been asked to surrounded to police to face sexual assault charges. Canadian press reporter Joshua Clipperton says the hockey world was rocked in 2022 when word emerged that Hockey Canada settled a lawsuit the woman who said she was sexually assaulted by several members of the 2018 World Junior team at Gala.
So, we're approaching more than 18 months at this point of this story, this scandal. But it's definitely bubbled back to the surface today. I mean, there's been some rumblings in recent weeks, but in the sort of back channels, but this has definitely brought it back to the forefront today, and it will be a hot topic in hockey again very soon if it isn't already.
Red Bull has confirmed its second
I am Elise in Alaska with BCIT The Crow, and this is the story of the day. Thousands of Metro Vancouver residents are without bus and C-bus services again today. The strike by 180 transit supervisors is now into its second day. CUPE Local 4500 spokesperson Liam O'Neill says the union is aware that the job action is impacting thousands of commuters, but says they were left with no choice when negotiations were broke down. O'Neill says Coast Mountain Bus Company is unwilling to deal with wage discrepancies with other supervisors and claims the company is bullying the union. Yesterday, picket lines went up at several locations around Metro Vancouver, including the Bus Depot in Burnaby. Other unions from TransLink, like Move Up, were there in solidarity, refusing to cross the picket lines. The strike is expected to end tomorrow morning. However, if no resolution is made, more job action might happen. Alicia Nolasco, BCIT, The Crow.
I'm Sebastián Arancibia with BCIT News. The experts have spoken. Oscar nominations are out, but we wanted to ask people on campus what was the movie from last year that they resonated the most with. Let's hear their answer.
Probably Barbie. Barbie for sure. It was just so fun.
Can you tell us why a little bit more?
It was just like such a fun movie, like with femininity and played with like a lot of different like roles, and also was just really nostalgic, I think, for a lot of people.
I really enjoyed Oppenheimer. Yeah, The cinematics was really good. The music was really good.
Favorite movie from 2023 was definitely The Hunger Games, Songbirds and Snakes, Ballads of Songbirds and Snakes, and I resonated with it because it just kind of took me back to like the nostalgia of 2014.
The movie that resonated with me most was Avatar, The Way of the Water. I watched it in Screen X, and it was kind of like a new experience with all of the movie like on the wall and such.
I'd say Barbie. I didn't expect it to be. I went like with no expectations, and it's pretty funny.
100% Priscilla. Loved that movie so much. It resonated with me because it's a story of isolation, and I feel like at the hands of someone you love, and not to reveal too much about myself, but it's relatable.
So now you know the answer. I'm Sebastián Arancibia with BCIT News.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretnero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.